Yeah.
Is there ever going to be a day where you and Ricardo are going to be
Never.
able to sit in the same room? Let's get
Never.
down to business now.
Absolutely zero chance that will ever happen. I will tell you this. I was asked to keynote speak the JunkCon, the original one that was done by JRA 3 years ago.
Hmm.
And it was right in the middle of October, which is when our gutter cleaning company at the time was really busy. And I was not going to go and do this and lose out on $3,000 or $4,000 in business and spend the money to go to it and do it. So I told them at the time, I was like, look, I can't do it. I'm so busy. They went out and got other speakers, and then I found out that Ricardo was the last one that they asked,
What do you call him?
because
You don't say Ricardo. What do you say?
it's Ricky Ritardo.
Oh, there you go. There you
Yeah.
go. There you
And
go.
so they asked Ricky Ritardo to keynote speak, which what was probably something that he thought was a big deal. And then after he did that, we just didn't get along, right? And the
Hmm.
reason that I didn't go to the first Junk Expo with Matt was because Ricardo was going to be there.
Hmm.
And I respect Matt, and I respect a lot of the people who are doing stuff to try to help the community or try to, make money doing this kind of stuff. And I don't want to go in somewhere and be a disrespectful prick and just hit someone over the head with a chair. I just don't want to do that. I think it's wrong. I think they have their own platforms that they're trying to do stuff on. I do not like Ricardo at all. I will tell you to this day. And it's actually funny because I have the first email that he sent me up here in January of 2023, when he told me, Russ, let's keep this professional. How about you don't mention me in any post and I do the same? Let's keep each other blocked on social media. Thanks, buddy. Actually, I'm headed to New York in the next few weeks. Maybe I'll stop by and we can chat. Right. So now you're talking about you're going to come to New York and you want to have a conversation with me in 2023. That was the beginning of it. Then I was like, all right, fuck you, buddy. You want to come here? I'm from New York. I'm not from fucking Texas. You might do it bigger in Texas, but we'll fucking do you dirty here. Trust me. And so that was part of it. We had gone back and forth in the groups because I was like, I can't understand why you would charge $45 for a fridge. Oh, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're doing, because he's just the fucking messiah, right?
Hmm.
So I didn't like his attitude. And it's funny because when I first started, he was one of the first YouTubers that I looked at. And I watched like 3 of his videos. And then one of his videos was how he was doing a pickup for Walmart in the back and he had to take a piss and he took a piss in their dumpster. And I was like, you're just an unprofessional fucking idiot. Like, what are you doing? Like, you don't do that. So then,
I got. I don't mean to cut you up, but I got to ask you this, brother, because
yeah.
you brought it up earlier about the mastermind group. So I
Mhm.
know that they do like I think it's like a mastermind group on I think it's actually tonight on Tuesday nights and all. Is that the same mastermind group that you
No,
were talking? It's
no
two
shot.
different. Okay.
Ritardo wouldn't make it. So I'll just tell you this: when we went to the first one, John Aguirre brought his son, and his son was 18 years old, and I think he had a few too many beers with his dad, and he was like passing out the next day, and he was falling asleep. That kid learned more sleeping than Ricardo has learned in 18 years. Okay. And I would put my money on that guy before I would ever put money on Ricardo teaching anybody in here how to do stuff. And anybody who listens to him, go get your IQ checked. That's the only thing I can tell you because the shit that this guy comes up with, you should never letter your trucks. You should never advertise. You should never pay for advertising.
Let me bring up an example because this is one of them that it's got me a little baffled, man. Because I don't really get it. I judge everything by money and business.
Mhm,
That's what makes sense to me.
mhm,
So he had a couple on. It was the JT
mhm,
Solutions couple, and JT Solutions are doing it big on Instagram. That is their
mhm,
platform. They
mhm.
have figured out the algorithm. They're getting all these free leads. They're just killing it with that. And
Yeah,
me
I
being
can
at the
tell you.
beginning of my junk removal journey, hearing numbers of 300-400K in their first year, I'm just like, wow, that's not even reality. What I mean? I'm like, holy shit, we
It's
got to
easier
learn
than you
what they're
think.
doing. They figured it out. Everybody else that's saying these big numbers, they're also saying, they're paying 20-30,000 a month on Google Ads. And I'm not hearing that. I'm hearing $40 boost here and there on Instagram. So
Mhm.
he brought them on and then he just kind of ripped them
Yeah,
apart.
he trashed them, from what I understand.
The thing that I'm not understanding is why are we having resistance? If they found a new way and a new system that is making money, wouldn't we want to learn from that? Why did we decide that we have to shoot that down, tell them that it's the stupidest thing, they're doing it wrong? See, that's where I find where a man's ego could be his worst enemy.
Agreed.
When you just start stepping on your own dick, just because your ego is telling you that, there's a problem there. And I'm coming across a lot of this in junk removal, and I scratch my head. I've always been the guy that's going learning from everybody, and a lot of the guys I see, I'm 3-4 times the size of them in life, and then they're telling me like I'm stupid and I'm just like, what? Like, why would we shut down and just put the chest up and just say it's stupid, let's not do it, and then go to war with them for the next 4 days, trashing them over it? What is your thoughts, first off? What is your thoughts of the couple and the way they found out Instagram and they're making all this money with? What's your thoughts on that, first off?
Well, I don't know Instagram enough to even be able to talk on that. But here's what I would say about that. Okay. I know I watched him when they were on, and there was a couple things he said that I was kind of off put by. He is a great guy. I would get along with the guy. I actually, if you go back and look at the comments, I said I would buy one of his $100 books.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything from it, but if JT, if you're listening and you want me to buy one of your books for $100, I will buy it. Okay. So go make $100 and reach out to me and I'll buy the book. Okay. But I don't know Instagram enough, but let's just say he's got 30,000 followers. On Instagram, there's a lot of things like bots. So how many of those 30,000 are actual people, right? And not just bots that, will like you, pull your content, and then duplicate it somewhere else and get your content to feed their Instagram too, right? So that happens all the time. The other thing with that is, of those 30,000 people, how many of them are other haulers, right? So let's say that there's 200 haulers that are watching what you're doing. You're not going to get any business from them, right? And you're not going to get any business from the bots. I don't know Instagram enough, but my guess is, of the 30,000 followers he has, most of them are not in his direct service area. They might have been someone that is, a side hustle as a gutter cleaning guy or as a power washing guy, came across it, liked them to see their posts, so they get ideas to go start it in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So I don't know enough about Instagram, and I don't know enough about his followers to say that his 30,000 followers are what's actually feeding it. It could be 10,000 followers that are legitimate in his area in Texas, that are actually funneling his business and recommending him and saying, hey, look at this. But I don't know enough to look at his followers and know that part of the business on it. It seems great. But again, I think a lot of the videos, and I, again, no disrespect to him at all, but I think a lot of people, and he even brought it up, if you go in and you say, look, I want to teach you about your cogs, no one watches. But as soon as I put $1,215 in 3 hours, everyone's like, how the fuck did you do that? And then everybody comes in and they watch you, right? So there's a lot of people in here that don't watch the information stuff like I put out or other people put out. They only want to see the big numbers of what people made because they want to see that they could do it. Well, you can't do it all the time, and not everybody can. He will make it because he's very good with his words. You can look at him, and I could tell within 30 seconds the way he talks. He's confident. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to Instagram and stuff like that.
Social media, definitely.
Right. And he did make a comment about, why don't the big dogs teach this stuff for free? If they're so big and they're so good, how come they don't come out and teach it for free? And a lot of the guys are doing it the same way for the same reason that he also came back and said, which was, I put out this free book. I had 1,000 people sign up for it and 80 people downloaded the book. Now I sell the book because it took me the time to build the book. And now I'm not just going to give that away because I have time invested in it. And he said, time is my biggest resource. So he wants to be compensated for the time that he's put into this. This is the same reason that the 7-figure guys and the bigger guys don't go give it out for free. I did it for free on Facebook groups live. There's probably people in the chat right now that would come on when I would do this every single week for an hour. After that, I would get 40 to 50 to 60 DMs, just like he did. How do I do it? How do I do it? Now what happens is you're pulling your time away from your family and your business to try to help people. We all want to help everyone else get better. But the problem is, and he can probably say the same thing, is that when someone asks you for the free advice, they never fucking listen to you. So you could tell someone, hey, go out and do it this way and it will work. And they'll go, oh, okay, I'm not going to do it. And then they don't fucking do it. And then they're like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. No, you didn't fucking do, you didn't do it. So I don't know. He seems like a great guy. I don't know him enough to say one way or another. I think what he's doing and his hustle and everything else and her hustle, they're great. I like their videos. They're fun to watch. But I think that there's a lot more to it than just putting stuff in the truck, right? There's building relationships, referrals,
I
stuff
think
like
you're
that.
100% right with that, but I also think they're at that such a beginning stage and they're seeing such growth right away.
Yeah.
And just I want to clarify a couple of things because I do know a lot of the answers that you were saying before. So he is very, very smart with the Instagram. That is, it's not overall social media. Instagram is the focus. That's what they figured out. And what they have did, what I'm under impression is everything that they're searching is within 10 miles of where they're at. So it's it's geo-fenced around there.
Okay.
So everything that is, it's not the subscribers that they're concerned about. It's the amount of views that they're putting in monthly in front of. I think it's like 20 or 30 million views a month. So it's not 30,000 subs that they really care about.
It's
Who's
the
following
views.
what. It's all those eyes within 10 miles of your house. So
If
I
that's the
know how
case,
it
then
is
they're killing it.
just from being in my town, bro. And we are that couple too, where like everybody's knowing us around town now. And we're like the it couple where everybody wants to see us. You know what I mean? So when we come to these jobs and everything, I'm getting people that just kind of want to hang out and they're calling us back 3-4 times in a week just to get us to come back there. So now I'm saying, now let me imagine if I'm getting 4 million views a month of that right in my area. And now these people like, yo, I got junk in my garage and I can meet these people right now. This would be cool.
If that's the case, then that's awesome. I've never looked at that way, and I don't, like I said when I started this, I don't know enough. That's why I wanted to buy his book for $100 because I don't know shit about it, and I'm not afraid to spend $100. If I buy it and I'm like, this fucking sucks, it's $100. If I buy it and I go, holy shit, this is really working, and I can make $100,000 because there again, it goes back to his presence on Instagram might be 1 million. But his presence on Google searches and on SEO and on the other stuff might not rank as high. So
No,
if
and
something,
they're not at all, bro. There's
right,
nothing else out there on them. Their whole
right,
funnel is Instagram.
right,
But just do the numbers, bro. 4 million, let's just say 2% is
he would
calling
never
in for
keep
those
up.
jobs. That's
He would
enough
never
to
keep
keep
up.
them booked nonstop around the clock.
He'd die. He'd kill himself working because it's very simple. I just did this with one of my clients. I said, look, all you have to do is get 1 million views. If you get 1 million views and only 0.25%, not even one fucking percent, 0.25% is 2,500 jobs a year. That's 50 a fucking, or what is it? 50 a week or something like that. You couldn't keep up with it. And that's the other issue too that I think a lot of people especially knew. And I know he said something about the big dogs, how we can't teach him about how to load a truck and all of that. I don't disagree with him. You could probably go out and get a silverback gorilla and teach him how to load a truck. It's not difficult to move stuff from one person's house into a truck, drive it to somewhere, and dump it. That is not the business. We are not in junk removal. We're in the customer acquisition business. And the more customers you bring in, the more you're going to grow. It is a very simple thing. I have 10,000, actually, I think it's 11,000 now, customers in my database that are all different. 43% of my business comes from repeat. Okay. I know that because I use House Call Pro and I can tag jobs in there. Previous customer, new customer, hot tub sheds, whatever I'm doing. I can put that in there. So at the end of the year, I know how many did I do in Florida? How many dumpsters did I do? How many hot tubs did I do? How many sheds? How many new
What are they
customers?
charging you a month for that?
I pay, I think, $3,600 a year.
Okay.
And I understand. I already know that there's someone else out there that does it for $50. Anyway,
Well,
so
no, we want to get into that too, bro.
we will.
Yeah. So
But
okay. So for the 3,600, so what is it? It comes
yeah,
out to $300 a
yeah, it's
month.
like $300 a month.
Okay. Now, when is the proper time to get the CRM in your eyes? Is that something that people should do from day one? Is there
No.
something wait till you grow and you're big? Like when?
Well, I mean, it depends on your goals, right? So if your goal is you have to set your goals. So if you're like, look, I only want to make $200,000 a year, I can open up a junk removal company in any population of 500,000 or more and make $200,000 in the first year. It is not as difficult or as in my eyes. Okay, now I know
Okay,
people
hold
who
on.
have
How do you do it though? If you had to go and make 200,000 in the first year, are you meaning all organic Google ads? Just
no.
explain that part.
I'll give you if okay, me and you, you want to start a junk removal company and you want me to be your partner. You're like, hey Russ, you be my partner. I say, great. First thing you're gonna do is you're gonna go out and you're gonna become an S corp, right? So I'm gonna set up your business the right way. I'm gonna set you up as an S corp. I'm going to set you up with all of the insurances. I'm going to set you up with all the state regulations that you need. First thing, then you're going to get a bank account, all that bullshit, right? Now it comes in, how do I get jobs? The first thing you do is you build your website, right? Don't go to Wix.com and build a one-page fucking website that looks like my 4-year-old grandson did it, okay? It's not going to convert. People who look at websites know it looks like shit. Spend the money on a website. A good website is going to cost you $2,500. Make sure you own it. You're not leasing it, please. I know a lot of the agencies out there will tell you that you $2,500 for a website. You say, fuck you. I want to go to, Paul's agency. They go, oh, great. We're taking your website. Oh, you motherfucker. Now I got to spend the money again, right? So make sure you own the
So,
website.
quick plug. Spearcrest Digital guys, Ronnie Knuckles. He did my website. If you guys like it, go check it out. Forget about it. Junkremoval.com. He is the guy, and you own your website. So when he makes it for you, you own that. Just had to throw that in there.
Yeah,
Russ,
Ronnie's good.
Russ, could you scale your business or even grow your business or even look the way you should look if you don't have a website and you do junk removal?
No. How are they going to
Okay.
find you? I mean, what are you going to, no, I would never,
There's
never in
there
my life.
there's people in my area that don't have a website and they're
They
just
smoke crack. I don't know what to tell
I
you.
just
That's what they do. They smoke.
I
I don't
hope they're
know.
watching. That's why I wanted
Yeah,
to
they
put that
smoke
out there.
crack or do meth because they don't, they're not serious. It's that simple. Again, if your goal is to go out and make $100,000 in sales and 50 grand in your pocket, you could do that anywhere. If your goal is to get to, multi trucks, or you want to get to $1 million, or you want to build a business that you can pass on to your kids or sell, you're not, don't grow into it is my advice. Just eat the money, be professional from the day one. I didn't buy a truck and trailer. I went right out and bought an Isuzu, right? So I just would go right out. I would not do a truck and trailer. If anybody wanted to get in with a truck and trailer, I'd be like, nope, no truck and trailer. It's the same price or very comparable to a good used junk truck. A Chevy pickup truck or a Cummins or any of those, a good one's going to cost you 30, 40 grand to tow that trailer. Yeah, you can go out and buy a Ford F-150 that's going to drop a transmission in about 3 months if you pulling 15,000 pounds behind you every day. But if that's what you want to do, go ahead. You're going to buy another truck and it's going to cost you money. And if you're new, you don't have the cash flow to do it, right? So I went out, bought we would go out and buy a dump truck. I would wrap the truck, and that would be number one. I would tell you, if you want free ads every Sunday, you're going to take that truck and drive it right over to the grocery store. You're going to park
Russ,
it in the
one question. When you buy that truck, are you buying a new truck, or are you buying a couple-year-old truck? What's the plan with that?
So my first truck was a used got junk truck with 240,000 miles on it. And my thought on that was, if it doesn't work, I'll sell the truck. If it does work, I'll buy a newer one. That's just my mentality on it. I didn't want to get into, a truck and a trailer. Most people, and I knew that I was going to grow the business. And if you know from the beginning what your end goal is going to be, which by the way, it was never where I'm at right now. But it's one of those things, like if I want to get to 2 trucks, I don't want to do trucks and trailers because employees beat the shit out of your stuff. They don't know how to back things up. And it just becomes more of a liability of things. Not only that, but it's a real easy DOT stop in most states because I think it's like a 10,001 tandem. You have to have DOT numbers trailers and a CDLA. I'm not 100% sure on that. I know someone's going to correct me and be like, oh, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Look, there's a lot of DOT laws, but I don't run truck and trailers, so I don't have to fucking worry about it. I don't need a CDLA on any of my trucks. So if
So
somebody
I
needs
got
it,
to ask
chime
you
in.
that. So you went and bought a truck. The first one had
Yep.
220,000
Yep.
miles. Now, a
Gas.
lot of people say you don't want to do that because of the maintenance and, having a truck in the shop all the time. What was your experience from doing that? Was that a good move or bad move looking back now?
I never one time had that truck in the shop. Isuzu makes amazing trucks. Got Junk actually makes really good bodies, and their scissor lifts are great. So they, that company isn't going to put their name on a piece of shit truck that can't hold up, right? So I would buy a gas dump truck immediately, wrap it. I wouldn't get diesel. I know there's going to go back and forth with people with diesel. I don't like diesel. They're dirty. Not only that, but when it comes to an oil change, you have to change the oil filters all the time. There's oil and waters, or there's fuel and water separators you got to buy. They hold way more oil. I can't get. Yeah, my 750 that I run is $600 to do an oil change. Okay, so it's not just oil. There's a lot of other shit. Not only that, the gas is more expensive. A DPF filter on those things are $4 to $5 grand. There's so many regulations that happen. The EGR valves go off. You have to buy DEF fluid to make sure that it runs in certain states. In California, it can't be more than 10 years old. So I don't like diesel. Yes, they will tow more weight, but we're not hauling fucking boats and trailers full of roofing. Most of our loads are 2,500 pounds, maybe 3,000 pounds. And if you took it out, and any truck will hold that. The gas ones get, less gas mileage, but the gas is cheaper. The maintenance is cheaper. I just prefer gas over diesel, and I own both. I own 2 diesel hook lifts, and I own 3 gas engines. Now,
let me ask you this, Russ. I want to know if you look back now, what would be the smartest move for you to do if you're looking to buy that truck, your first truck? Okay, now do we go that old?
used.
Yeah, I know used, but I'm seeing a lot of people that make the mistake and they go and buy the NPR, and then you watch 2-3 years later they're trying to sell it and it's got
Yep.
very low miles. And I'm like, I've come to realize, I'm like, yo, there's a big market for that. So anybody like a guy that like me that just jumps in and buys the NPR, I would start stalking me. Watch this dude. If this ain't working out, I'd be the first one to put in an offer, because you got to remember, when they're going to buy these trucks, if it's like 3-4 years old, most finance companies aren't going to finance them that money because it's an older truck. So they got to find somebody that could buy it cash. So that's when you come swooping in and, they're asking $60K. I got $45K right here, right now. Let's go do this.
I would never buy a cash. I would never buy a truck cash. I think personally, I think it's the dumbest thing in the world to go out and buy cash for a truck. And I'm going to tell you why. If you buy a truck on a loan and it doesn't work out, you sell the truck and pay off the loan, right? You don't have to come up with $50,000 to go buy an NPR. You only have to come up with $3,000, maybe $5,000 in a decent credit, right? And
Even
the
with the interest
registration.
rates that were just insane.
Doesn't matter, because you can always pay that off. Let's say that I buy a truck at 7%, and that truck allows me to make $10,000 a month. If I'm smart, I'm paying the truck off as fast as possible, but I don't want to dump $45,000 into something and realize, oh shit, it doesn't work. If you had $45,000 in cash and you were going to go buy a truck, I'd put $10,000 in the truck. I'd take the other $35,000, buy a website that looks good, wrap the truck, and put the other $25,000 away for cash flow, because you're going to have to come up with your insurances. You're going to have to come up with maintenance money. And if you dump $45,000 in cash on a truck, yeah, great. You own the truck outright and don't pay interest. But $5,000 a year or $15,000 total in interest for something that you can get out of at any time, I would never buy my money with that. It's the same reason that if you own a house, you should never pay cash for your house. Because if your interest rate is 7%, and you put down $100,000 on a $400,000 house and invest that other $300,000 in a good fund, you're going to make more than the 7%. So for me, the interest that I'm paying is nothing compared to what that truck is going to bring in. I'll give you a perfect example. The only vehicles, and I know that Retardo wanted to go on there, and he said that the only reason that I do $1 million is because I got all these EIDL loans and all this loan money during COVID and all that. He's so fucking stupid. He doesn't realize that loans don't count as revenue, you dipshit. It's debt. You don't pay any taxes on debt, which is why you look at people who buy houses, Grant Cardones and all of that. What do? They finance everything. They got hundreds of millions of dollars and they finance everything because they're going to put their money in an investment that can grow it. They're not going to
Well,
take that money
they
and pay
never want to
cash.
pay taxes on their money and
Right.
they use the government's money to,
Correct.
you
They
know.
use banks to finance everything. And a lot of people don't understand in the real estate game is that debt is not taxable. So if, Apple has fucking $90 billion of debt and they got $400 billion in the bank. Why would they have debt? Because they can write the debt off. They can write off all the interest and not tie up their cash. They're using the bank's money at 2% and they got $300 billion in the cash making them money. I would never
See,
buy
I
a
get your
truck outright.
understanding and all that, but I just always been that guy, brother. I just want to pay off the cars. I don't want to loans, anything, and being in this business, that first like couple of months and everything, I just kept saying to myself, it's not even the money. It's all just have to putting out those payments and insurance, each month, and you're not making money. It's just reminding yourself of getting kicked in the nuts every month. So I was just like, you know what? I'd rather just get this done with. Let me just buy this out. I don't got to deal with no loans. So I bought the insurance out right away, paid one payment and all, because I just didn't want to have that headache and stress. And that's how I am with my regular cars and all that.
Yeah,
Paul,
I mean,
but Paul, there's some guys on the other opposite side of you who don't have all that capital and would just like to jump in this game. So I think what Russ is saying is gold, because I'm like soaking it up, like, whoa, that's why I'm so quiet. I'm like Dumbo. But there's some people who are not in that level as you, Paul.
No. I understand that, but he's saying that he never would do that. I
never.
mean, it's if you're in a different position, you'd understand where I'm at. Like,
I mean, if I had 10 of them and I had $10 million in the bank, I'd pay fucking cash, right? Because I don't need the money.
That's what I mean, bro. That's what I'm trying to say. I just don't want to be reminded every month of how much I'm putting out there and I'm not making in, because those first couple of months, bro, it's fucking stressful. And now I could just imagine if you just had like, a very small capital in there, it's got to be scary at the beginning. That's what me and my girl keep saying. It's hot and cold in this business at that beginning, man.
But the other thing too is if you have an obligation, you're going to work to make sure that obligation works out. If you pay $45,000 for a truck up front and Sunday comes around, you're like, I'm going to watch the Buffalo Bills play football. And then a call comes in, you're like, fuck it. I got to do it. But if you have $1,000 payment due in 2 days, you're going to be like, I'm going out and fucking working on Sunday because I got that fucking payment.
Yeah.
And so it lights a fire under your ass to try to get working harder and more,
Absolutely.